Yeah, but I feel as though we've not accomplished much today.
Me neither.
I feel like I'm gonna change that right now.
Am I supposed to take my math test today?
You wanna do it after we talk about this? You wanna do it right now? Really?
Yeah.
You're that confident, are you?
Or can I just take it at City Hall?
What?
Can I just take it at City Hall?
I don't care. You tell me.
Sure.
Say no?
Yeah.
You gotta tell me when that thing changes there.
I hope she's Jewish.
Why's my pencil up? Who took this pencil?
You're wrong.
I did.
My pencil.
Is it the red one?
No, it's the blue one.
I found the red one.
That's my red one.
You gave it to me. You said give me the blue one and I'll give you the red one. Do you remember that? Cause I picked the blue one.
Oh. Number one.
All the girls are gone. No.
No, I'm reading. I lost phone.
Are you going? What?
And I still have your face in my house. I still have your face.
They will, but that's it.
Do they not know?
I don't know, I don't think they're supposed to.
I don't think you're supposed to.
I don't think you're supposed to either.
Yeah. You saw them. Look at.
They were in my house first, so.
I mean, yeah, why you see the spot?
Yeah, it's not like a secret.
I know, but Packer, oh, can I see it?
I didn't.
No. I'm kidding. Can you see it?
Yeah. Minus 12.
That's why I
I'm not going to talk to us on your white sweater.
It's blue now. He smashed the whole thing.
That's cool.
You think?
Kind of sicker.
And look at my money. And look at my potato hole.
Tell me when that thing says something about whatever. Yeah, well, let's cross that bridge when you burn it. Appreciate that little small little. I can tell I'm gonna like having you up close. Some of the funny things I say. like this. Did I tell you guys I missed you over the last 2 days?
No, you didn't.
There's a reason for that.
What?
See, Hope, I got it again, 2 in a row. All right, here we go. Let's correct this and then we shall do it for all posterity. David, are you ready? Number 1, Evan Sittler. What? Unfortunately, it's the associative property. Associative property. Number 2, Ava Russell. Less than is what I also have. Number 3, Elijah.
1.5.
1.5. Number 4, if you change 7/20 is 2%, it's 35%. 1/4 is 25%. 2/5 is 40%. I hope that's what it is, because I can't. Yeah, I'm guessing that's what it is. I don't know. Number 5, Zoe.
5.4.
5.4. No, I didn't miss you. I really did. Oh, so that was just a fake laugh. David, 6.
Negative 64.
Negative 64. 7, Amelia.
30.
30. 38. Lexi.
Negative
I'm sorry, Alex. Negative 16. 9, Ben.
114.
Ooh, 149. Pretty sure I know what you did there.
Just not adding that.
Thank
I
you,
can thank
Evan.
it, it's
Nice
okay.
job. Way to help Ben out in a nice way. Number 10, Soph.
0.
Zilch. 11, Sam.
60%.
Yeah, I actually have 3/5, 0.6 or 60%. Number 12 is no. 48 is not a perfect square. 13, Ella.
No.
Yeah, false. Yeah, the statement should be A equals 1 times A. 14, Jax.
Certain.
Nope. 50-50. It says likely to happen as not. Or 50-50. 15, Hope.
Irrational.
Yeah, irrational. My book has irrational and real, but I'm guessing reals we just assume, I guess. 16, Katerina.
19.
Negative 19. 17, David.
17.56.
17.56. 18. Is this going to tell me if it's, how do I know if it's going to?
Do that.
It's going to bleep at me and tell me that I need this to record. Wait, what are we on? Which one? Jax. 18, I have 4 miles per hour. 19 is 6. And 20, the value of the square root of 17 is nearest to what integer, Zoe Solomon?
I just thought between like 4 and 5.
Well, but they wanted you to give which one it would be nearest to, which would be y of, because the square root of 16 is 4.
Yeah.
And it's a lot closer to that than the square root of what would be the next perfect square. Evan, you are so much smarter than you've ever let on. Yes, ma'am.
What was
So-
19?
I'm sorry, 19 was 6. The set was actually 6. Alex,
What was 18?
18 was 4 mph. Benjamin Moon,
What was
the junior, right? Your dad just seen him? Yeah. Seen his Ben too?
Yeah,
Isabel Benjamin? Same middle name or no?
same middle name.
Same last name?
Yeah.
So is are you the second? Are you really the 5th? There's a little pressure there. You have to have a 6 now.
Uh-huh.
Yes, Ben.
What was 8?
Really, the 5th? It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So what the first? What year would the first been? What year would the first been alive?
I don't know. Your
Okay.
grandpa?
5 generations. You almost have to go back to the. That was it. Did you hear it?
I heard it.
Yeah.
You have to go back to. You got mid 1800s, I would think.
Something like that.
keep it alive. What was your question? Did you have a question?
She answered it.
Oh, thanks, Lex. I'll give you a quick concern with Jax.
What was 16?
Number 16 should be negative 19. Dave?
10.
Yeah, there's an outside chance I can do number 10. Again, ladies and gentlemen, I can only tell you this so many times. As always, my recommendation is get yourself a piece of paper so that you can jot down notes while you get something wrong so you don't get it wrong tomorrow.
Wait, what is 15?
Oh, I thought yesterday was Thursday.
So you told me wrong.
Yeah.
So you can't ask a question in the middle of a question. Oh, you're asking for. Ladies and gentlemen, here is my suggestion to you for this. First of all, I would make sure I know where one term ends and the other term begins. So if I were doing this, I would say, okay, here is the first term, here is the second term, here is the third term, because they're split by addition, subtraction signs that aren't in parentheses. So it's a four-term thing. All of them are already simplified, and it's adding and subtracting. So maybe I would start by writing them up and down. I don't know if that would be you have negative 1/8. Here, you have a positive 5/8, right? Mr. Ron, that's correct. You have a negative 3/8, which is what? Two negatives next to each other? Positive 3/8. And then you have a negative 7/8. And I said, my suggestion when you see problems, especially fractions that have pluses and minuses, is to take the sign and put them next to the numerator. In other words, make this a -1. Instead of thinking about subtraction, make it a -1. This is a +5, a +3, and a -7. And deal with those integers. If you put a -1 with a +5, you get a +4. If you put a +4 with a +3, you get a +7. If you put a +7 with a -7, you get no 8s or 0 8s. Hence the answer should have been 0. I always like it when I hear, oh. Wait, who asked me that one? What did you get?
I got 49/64.
Mercy is all I can say to that. Where did you get 64s when they are already 8s to begin with?
I timed,
All of them by 8?
no, I timed 5/8 and 3/8.
Is there a reason why you timed them?
Because
Yeah, but see, that parenthesis only goes for what's in front of it, and in front of it is a minus sign. So you're just minusing a negative, which makes it a plus sign. Now, if this would have been right next to the number, it means to multiply. I mean, technically, the parenthesis means you just multiply the two negatives together, it makes it positive. Wow, one question is all we have in the whole pretest. You guys are so much smarter than you are. So,
What is 15?
what is it? 15 was irrational. Samuel? It's my hopes. My hopes is that I can do them all. But again, I told you I did get a C in algebra 1, so. Well, it's fun, a game spinner, and recorded the result at the table below. All right, you have to understand this table, okay? What does frequency mean? Frequency means how often it happened. So she got 7 ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's what a frequency of 7 for an outcome of 1 would be. She then got, it doesn't matter at what point, but she got 5 twos. 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. She got 8 threes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, that's what she got when she did a spinner or whatever she was doing. Apparently it was a spinner. And then the question it asked you, what's the probability of landing on a 1? Well, how many times did she spin it according to this? 20 times. How many times did it land on a 1? 7. Express each probability as a fraction and as a percent. Well, 7/20 is what, over 100, but 35. God bless you. So that's where that comes from. What'd you get? How many 2s were there? 5 out of 20. And again, that as a percent is 25%. That be there. That doesn't. You don't know where those percents are coming from. And how many 8s? Or how many 3s? 8 out of 20. Again, percent out of 100, so you multiply the bottom by 5, top by 5, you get 40%. Magdalena, parang gusto mong sa'yo? Did you know Papa Andre? Jackson?
You do, 19.
I will do all of it.
Just change that. Number 19 says a number cube labeled 1 through 6 is rolled. We call a number cube what? A die? Is die more dice? Dice singular, die plural? Die is plural. So she rolls a dice. One dice is rolled. List the outcomes for the event that have a number greater than 5. Well, first of all, Jax, you'd have to know this. Let's start with this. When you roll a dice, what are the outcomes? You can roll a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, or a 6, correct, Jax?
Yeah.
How many of those outcomes are greater than 5?
1.
Just a 6. Hence the reason the answer was 6. I guess, did it ask you? It said list the outcomes. Why did I put that in a little brace? Because technically that is a set. That's what the little brace means. You're talking about a set of numbers, a set of outcomes. So would I mark it wrong if you don't put the little happy brace? No. Would you look smarter if you did? Yes. So just because you want to look smart. Alex!
For 19, I put 1 second. Did you take that?
Well, if it would ask you for the probability, I would take it. It just said list the outcomes. But Alex, probably, if you would talk, probably. This one looks to me like it's a lot easier than test number 1. A lot more mathematical than all that gobbledygook that the first one. But see, Evan, you gotta be smart with the terms too. London Edwards.
Can you do 11?
Maybe, maybe not. In a bag. Did you happen to draw the bag, London?
No, I did the thing where you like write out the numbers and you put the X's above it to see how many there is.
Okay, it didn't ask you to write. Did it ask you to make a line plot?
No.
I mean, you could do that, that's fine, but, I mean, this is kind of what the deal, what they're thinking, it's this. You have 2 1s. You know, and you really don't need to do this because this is probably overkill, but, and 4 4s. All of these things are in a bag. Would it help if I made squares for tiles? It seems like that would take a lot longer than I need to. But you have all these tiles in a bag. How many tiles are there, London? How many numbers are in there?
In total?
Yeah. Okay, so whatever our probability is out of 10. The tiles randomly chosen from the bag, what's the probability with a number less than 4? So what numbers are less than 4?
1, 2, 3.
So how many 1, 2, and 3s are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And again, write it in. That's why it said you could do 3/5. It said you could write 60%. I think it also gave you the decimal. Any of those would be fine. Maybe that doesn't seem to be terribly difficult. This should be an easy test. I don't know what Ella's whining about. What are you whining about? Miriam?
17.
Is there a challenge? Is this a challenging one? A rectangular rug is 2.5 feet by 2 feet. Its area is that, square feet. A circular rug has a radius of 2 feet and its area is that. What is the combined area of the two? Well, so we're just gonna do this. 2.5 times 2 gets added to 3.14 times 2 squared. Am I right or am I right? I mean, I told you kind of what to do there. What is 2.5 times 2, Kayla? And what is this? 3.14 times 2 squared, which is 4. Anybody? 12.56? Is that not right? Amelia, did you get that far?
Yeah, I forgot to add them together.
So 17.56 seems to be. This way, ladies and gentlemen, if you happen to buy a rectangular rug and a circular rug for your first house, you'll know exactly how many feet it is altogether. By the way, 2.5 foot rug is not very big, is it? It's like a bath mat on that. Could be a doormat. What about the circular one?
Bath mat.
One that you put one of them, a bath mat. Oh, there ain't many circular ones. Circulars don't work well in rectangular rooms too much.
You can put it under a
Circle
table.
rooms are really a waste of space, because what do you do with the other part of the circle? Why don't we live in circular houses? Don't make any sense.
That'd be cool though.
It would be.
Are we switching our couches?
Yeah, imagine trying to put a rectangular couch. I mean, you'd have to, there'd be all that round part behind it. Other questions on math? Somebody must. Are you kidding me? We have literally 4 questions on this. I'm gonna have to start making math test harder. Lexi.
Number 1.
No, numero el uno. Identify the property. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how many different times I can say this, but I will try to say it again. When telling the difference between the commutative and the associative properties, the thing to remember about the associative property is that everything stays in its same order. The word commutative means that some of the numbers must move. Not the parentheses, but the numbers move. They commute or whatever they do. If you look, you have a 16, 17, 3. 16, 17, 3. They're in the same order. The only difference is which ones you associate with each other first. That's the reason this is the associative property. If I were making a problem that showed the commutative property, I would make it look like this. 16 plus 17 plus 3 equals 17 plus 16 plus 3. See, with those numbers, if they move, then it's a commutative. If they stay in the same order and point to parentheses, the things you associate with the associative. Did I do that wrong? Nobody else in this entire world otherwise. Believe you me, you probably want to ask questions because I'm about to reprimand you, all of you, in a short minute here when I finish this. So you may want to ask as many as possible. London Edwards.
Can you do, number 8?
Can I do number 8? I can and I will and I shall. Now, most people, ladies and gentlemen, look at this and they see the parenthesis and they say distributive property. And yes, you can do it that way, but when I look at this, I say it doesn't get any easier than this because you can actually add 3 plus 5 together. London, what's 3 plus 5?
7? No, 8.
And what's negative 2 times 8?
Negative 16.
Negative 16. Many of you, because you're kind of trained to think when you see parentheses and a number in front of the distributive property, well, if you did that, you get negative 2 times 3, which is negative 6, and negative 2 times 5, which is a negative 10. Put those 2 together, you get negative 16. Either way, it works. But if you can already simplify the parentheses, order of operations say that you can do that. But let me take a poll here. How many did it like this? How many did it like this? Nobody? Sure, Sophia said that. I'm just going to pick the first one because did you do it at all, Sophia?
Oh, no, I did the first one.
Wait, this way?
No, the
This
second
one.
one. Yeah.
And got this?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it doesn't matter to me. Jax.
No.
Wait, should I go through this one, Ben? You want me to do the 1/7 squared? Sure. You said yes. Yes. Did you get 1/14 too? Well, what does 1/7 squared mean, but 1/7 times 1/7? How do you multiply fractions together? 1 times 1 is 1. 7 times 7, believe it or not, is not 14. That's 7 plus 7, but 7 times 7 is 49. Jack, okay if I change colors because I'm getting a little bored with red? A nice shade of green. Jack.
Oh, it's 11.
Answer? Number 11, the one that I wrote on the board? 3/5, 0.6, or 60%. Didn't I do that one? Isn't that this one here? It sounds familiar. Jax, it didn't change from 10 minutes ago. Check the asterisk. Lexi? Number 3. Find the difference, which means you're subtracting, but really you're actually adding. Why? Because this, again, just like with those fractions, you look at this as one piece together. You have a negative 4.1, and if you subtract a negative or have two negatives together, that actually makes it plus 5.6. So how does one do that? You find the difference in the positives and the negatives, and you have to put this one on top. You take 5.6, subtract 4.1. Is my answer going to be positive or negative? Why?
Because.
You have more positives, right? You have 5 here, you don't have 4 there. So you just subtract those two, you get 1.5 to the good. Had this been a negative, you'd actually add a little bit. Does that make sense? Lexi? 15. Wait, did you look at your little sheet of numbers, classifications of numbers? Number 15, right?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, the deal is you see square roots that don't work out. Square roots that don't work out are always irrational. If it don't work out, if you can't get a perfect square of 5, it's irrational. Please don't confuse that with this. You know, if it by some chance would say 3 times the square root of 16, that is not only rational, it's an integer. Not only is it an integer, it's a whole number. Not only is it a whole number, it's a counting number and a natural number. Why? Because there is a square root of 16, which is 4. 3 times 4 would be 12. This works out, so you have to look at its simplified form. 12 is rational, it's an integer, it's a whole number, it's a counting number, it's a natural number. And you would have that little sheet with you that would say such things. This is, so I can give you your pretest?
Yeah.
Does she actually hand them out to you?
Yeah.
No.
No.
So.
Can you do 14?
Wait, where's 14? There it is. Describe the following event as impossible, unlikely as not. Well, like Joel rolls an even number on a number cube with labels 1 through 6. So, ladies and germs, your number cube has what numbers on it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And you are looking at the probability of an even number, right? So, how many possibilities? How many even numbers?
3.
3. So it's a probability of 1/2 or 50%. If it's 50%, here are your choices. Well, certainly not impossible. Unlikely would be something less than 50%. As likely as not is your 50%. It could or it's not likely because it have to be more than 50%, and certain is 100% or 1. So it's as likely as not to get an even number because there's the same amount. good, 5 days off in a row. Ben, I don't think Ben on the first would have said that. I think that would have been looked at as disrespectful back in the day. The teacher also would have gotten out a ruler and probably snapped him, but good. In the late 1800s. How did you find out? I'd love to know what the first Ben Moon the first. What year that was. Amelia.
13.
Tell whether the statement A equals 0 times A is true or false. Justify your answer using the properties, assuming that A is a real number. So if the question is this, take a look at this. You are going to substitute any number for an A and see if it's true. And it doesn't matter. If it doesn't tell you, you can just pick one. Let's pick what, Amelia? 2. If you put 2 in for A, does 2 equal 0 times 2? What is 0 times 2? So is this true or false? False. Justify your answer using the properties. Well, you would just justify it by saying that this would equal 0 property. Or this is not the identity property. I don't necessarily care about this. Maybe it's false. A lot of questions in this section. I liked it. So,
What's 6?
what is
I
it?
mean, how do you do 6?
How do I do 6? Now, technically, Sophia, I'm asking you just because you want me to do this, not because you don't understand it. Did you get it wrong?
No.
Okay. But for those of you who are keeping score at home, let me describe this to you as best I can. The exponent goes with what? Hey, Russell? Whatever's in front of it. What's in front of it? It is not. Just the 4. It was in parentheses, it's -4. So technically, this should be written out like this. If we were simplifying this, it would be a negative 4 times 4 times 4. Okay, now the problem, the deal with this though is it doesn't matter. You'll get the same answer from this as you would if it were this. You'll get the same answer. But the problem runs into when this is an even number, because you won't get the same number if your exponent is even. Well, 4 times 4 is 16, and then 16 times 4 is 64. And then there's a negative sign out front, so it's negative 64. Okay, but you would still get that if you multiply this that way, but it's not the case. If this was a square, you get 2 different answers. But since it's not a square and it's a cube, and there's an odd number, you don't. I'm going to field one more, unless Sophie keeps asking me questions, but probably she already knows how to do it. But you're asking on behalf of the group, right, Soph?
Yeah.
Lexi,
18.
number 18. Kelly rows a boat ashore at the rate of 740 yards per hour. How fast did she row a mile per hour? Are you really asking for that? This kind of is the lead into what I'm going to scold you about before. Whether you know how to do this or not, you should always write down the information you know. And what do you know? You know this. She rows at 7,040 yards. What's the word per mean? Fraction line, hour. That's what you know. What do they want you to know? What do they want you to change it to? Not in yards per hour, but miles per hour, which means you have to change this label. If you're changing labels, then it's called a unimultiplier conversion fraction, and you would have to have some knowledge. You either need to know how many yards are in a mile, or you'd have to know how many feet are in a mile and how many feet are in a yard. It doesn't really matter which. Which would we do? Ben, you did
How many yards are in a mile?
how many mileage in a mile?
1,000.
And how did you know that?
Because I looked it up.
Okay. I would assume that you, at least if you didn't know. So you're changing yards into feet, yards into miles. So yards if it's on top, has to go on bottom. What are we changing it into? Miles, and Ben looked up that there's 1,760 yards a mile. And what happens here is the labels cross out. And you end up with this times this, which is 1,740 over 1,760. There's an easy way to do that. Maybe, maybe not. What would I do? I would reduce by dividing by 10. Half of 704, David, 352. Half of 176, 88. And you might just want to do the division problem. It doesn't matter what point you do the division. 88 into 352. How many times? 8 goes to 35, what, 4? Oh, look. Come on in.
Good morning. So,
Zoe. Wait, you say 10:30, didn't you?
Yeah, I know she's early.
Make sure she knows it's not my fault, it's her daughter's. Wait, you coming back?
Yeah, but it won't be till probably like reading class.
For what? Oh, reading. Oh, well, yeah, well, I was thinking it's 10 minutes, we have whatever. Can I stop there so I can scold you? Miller, I'll hold you, I'm gonna hold you past on the E, so you know which one? Number 20. Estimate the value of the square root of 17 to the nearest integer. Again, you need to think of the perfect squares that 17 falls between. For example, the square root of 1 is 1. The square root of 2 is 4. The square root of 3 is 9. 4 is, I'm saying it backwards, but square root of 16 is 4. Square root of 25 is 5. If square root of 17 falls between these two numbers, which one is it closer to? The square root of 17 is awful close to the square root of 16, so they're just asking you to make the assumption that 4 is a closer answer than 5 is. 17 is 8 away from 25, but it's only 1 away from that. Now, if you would have told me between 4 and 5 and cried that you got it wrong, I mean, literally, if I actually saw literal tears, I probably would give it to you. However, I would also shun you and make you feel poor. Can I stop that? If I could tell you how I did stop that, I'm gonna stop recording.